You know, when you do these YouTube shows, you learn a lot about yourself, and I think what I'm learning is I really like the blues. Hey, welcome to Charlie's Open Mic. My name is Charlie Mosbrook. On this week's show, we have another blues player, country blues player from West Virginia. His name is Joe Bourgeois. We're going to listen to his music, but let's talk to him first. Well, welcome to the show, little Joe Bourgeois.
All right. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you having me on the show.
Oh, you bet. It's cool to have you. I've been noticing your TikToks, and I enjoy what you're doing.
Thank you very much.
I
Thank you.
especially like the busking aspect of what you've been doing. We'll get into that a little bit, but let's learn a little bit about who you are because, like our last show when I had Jay on, the Bluesy Dad. I don't know if you've
Yes.
gotten familiar with
Good
him.
show. Yeah.
Yeah. So Bluesy Dad and I, that was our first meeting, and for you and I, this is the same thing. So I'm just getting to know you now. So where are you living at?
I live in a little town called Ridgeway, West Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
It's about 11 miles north of Winchester, Virginia, along I-81.
Okay. It's beautiful country down there.
It is. It is. Not
Have you?
quite as mountainous as the real West Virginia, but it's nice here.
So how long you been playing the country blues guitar?
I really started getting into it when I was about 15 years old. When my mom got me a Christmas gift.
Mm-hmm.
I had started playing the guitar when I was about 13, and I wanted lessons. They wouldn't give me the lessons for a year. So then when I was 14, they got me lessons, and I did that. And I got into, my dad bought me a B.B. King album,
Mm-hmm.
the best of B.B. King, if I remember. And man, it just changed my world. And so at the music store where I was taking lessons before one Christmas, my mom walked in and said, I want a songbook full of nothing but blues music. And what they had was the Country Blues Songbook by Stephen Grossman,
Okay.
which had nothing to do with the kind of blues I was listening to. It
Right.
was back in the 80s. I didn't have YouTube or anything. So she brings me this book, and I look at it, and I'm familiar with some of the songs because I've heard some electric blues artists covering them.
Mm-hmm.
And then I decided it had the names of the people that originally performed or wrote the songs on them. And that's where I discovered people like Robert Johnson and Son House and, Mississippi John Hurt,
Mm-hmm.
all those kind of guys. I can't even name them all the guys that are in it. Bucka White, all those guys. And I would look for them, try to find recordings of them. I found a radio station. I grew up in Arkansas, about 50 miles west of Memphis, Tennessee, near a little town called Jonesboro. And Memphis, as you know, is a big blues hub. So I was able to really find a lot of recordings. And then there were some good radio stations coming out of Memphis as well. And at that time, the King Biscuit Flower Hour was still on the air.
Mm-hmm.
And I could listen to that on, I think it came on, I want to say it was Sunday night late. So about 15. Just that whole long story to say I was about 15 years old when I started getting into country blues, which at the time I didn't even know. I just thought this is just blues. I just like it better than the electric guitars because I have an acoustic guitar. I didn't have an electric guitar at the time. So it was accessible. It felt accessible to me. And then being in the area I was in, I also was able to find some older guys who knew how to play the music. And that was good too, because I could sit right down with them. And, like my grandfather knew some about it because he grew up in Mississippi. He was born in 1905 and he grew up in Mississippi. He's long past now, but he knew about blues, and he knew some guys around the town, Bay, Arkansas, which is outside of Jonesboro where he lived, that played blues, some gentlemen. And I learned about open tunings, how they were getting some of the sounds. And I got to see people who actually, that's just what they did. They played that music. I got to see it performed right in front of me, in the room in front of me. So I feel like I was very, very, very lucky in that aspect of it when I started playing.
You sort of wandered into it on your own, but at the same time, your community, your family was there actually to help you learn this stuff and to.
Exactly. And if it hadn't been for that book that my mom bought, if they'd had a Stevie Ray Vaughan book or a BB King book,
Mhm.
but she got this country blues book, and it just, boom, all of a sudden there it was. And I liked it much better than except for BB King, I have to
Mhm.
say. I liked it much better than the Stevie Ray Vaughan type stuff that I was hearing. Because that I loved. You had to. I mean, it was the 80s. He was kind of
Yeah.
newish then. But at the same time, and then in his interviews, he would mention some of the players out of this book.
Mhm.
I would read his interviews in guitar magazines. I lived and breathed guitar magazines back in those days.
Right.
And Jimi Hendrix, too. And he had some things that really sounded very country bluesish to me,
Mhm.
especially like Hear My Train A Coming,
Mhm.
even Voodoo Child, those kind of songs. And I thought, wow, that sounds a lot like this other. And Hear My Train A Coming was on an acoustic guitar. But even a lot of his electric stuff, I thought he's getting something from these players, this
Mhm.
other stuff. So I started connecting dots. And anyway, it was just a long road that's led me here. I'm 50 now. And so I've been doing it for a while. I should probably be better than I am at this point in my life,
We are where we're at.
That's right.
I mean, how many times have I looked back at the last 50 some years and said, boy, I just wasn't working hard enough back then. Well, I've got today. Let's do it today.
That's right. That's right. That's funny. I'm kind of doing now what I wish I had done in my 20s.
Mm-hmm.
Saying this is going to be it. This is going to be my life. The music, getting it out in front of people. And instead, I waited until I was almost 50 to start doing that.
Well, the good news for people like you and I is, hey, the kind of music we're doing, you can really start to break the water at 50. You don't have to be 20 years old.
Yeah, that's right. And all this new technology, TikTok, Facebook, I'll be honest, the pandemic is really what started me getting into social media.
Mm-hmm.
Beginning of the pandemic, I just said, you know what? I'm going to post one song a week to this tired little Facebook thing that I set up. I set up a guitar page years ago and never did much with it.
Mm-hmm.
But I made this commitment, and I was working as a security guard at a trucking company where I would sit in my truck for 6 hours a night. And so they didn't care what I did while I was in there, as long as nothing happened. So I'd sit there and make movies on my phone sitting in the truck. I'd have my guitar with me and then post them to this Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't too much longer. I discovered TikTok and I started posting them there. And I was on Instagram and YouTube. And it just kind of all came together until it, really people started to see what I was doing. And on top of that, and better for me, I could see folks like yourself and other musicians and get in contact with people all over the world. I mean, it's been great the way that worked for me. Just being able to communicate, hear what other people are doing. Yeah.
It's been a wild couple of years. I mean, it's as small as my community has become, because I really don't, I go out with my wife and I'll take a walk around, stroll around the neighborhood, and we'll see a couple friends, but we don't see anybody. We go check on my dad from time to time, see how he's doing, bring him some dinner and stuff, but we don't go out. But at the same time, my musical community has just blown up to be this international thing, and it's cool. It's neat.
Yeah, that's the way it is for me. It's weird, I've never known so many people in my life as I have since I've been locked in my house and in my car, and on a school bus now. So, yeah.
There's a lot of need for school bus drivers these days, I understand.
Yeah, there is. I mean, everybody's hiring right now for school bus drivers. And that happened through the pandemic. And I'm not exactly sure. I'm not an expert. I took the job last year because I drove past a little elementary school that's just in Virginia on the way down to Lowe's, because I also refinished furniture a little bit. And I was on the way down to Lowe's to get a can of lacquer. And there was the school bus saying, "Hey, we're hiring school bus drivers." And I thought, benefits. So I called them, and they hired me to do it, So
that's cool.
And they're still hiring for that school district, and every school district is hiring, it seems, around me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially in West Virginia. They're really hiring in West Virginia.
Now, I've noticed on TikTok you've been shooting a lot of your videos out on the street. Is that
Yeah,
the town you live in that you usually sit out?
that's Winchester, Virginia.
Okay.
And I had never done busking before,
Mm-hmm.
but I got contacted by a guy down in Winchester who has a company. It's like a marketing company, I'm assuming. I don't know a whole lot about them, but they're doing what's called the Old Town Vibe series for Winchester, Virginia. And it's not designed to kind of revitalize Old Town, bring more people back into it. Because Old Town Winchester is great. It's beautiful. There's a lot of shops. There's lots of great food, but there wasn't a lot of foot traffic going on down there. So they said, hey, we just need people who are willing to sit out on the street and busk, and we'll even pay you to do this.
Very cool.
Okay. I mean, I'd never done that kind of thing before.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now I'll check the town ordinances of wherever I am and do it everywhere because it's fun. It's great. You get to meet people. You can do tips, if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't want to, the great thing about this is I'm not living or dying off tips. So it doesn't really matter because they're paying me to do it. But I can set out a tip jar if I want to. And the other great thing, it's given me a chance to really, really play a lot and practice all the time in front of people, which is important. You can practice all you want in your bedroom, but if you get out in front of people and it really starts to click together.
Yeah, you can't stop in the middle of a song and restart that.
Nope, you just got to power through. Yep.
And my days of busking, I used to busk in Chicago and Madison, Wisconsin. I go out for 4 hours at a time. And yeah, you get your chops together real quick that way.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's nice. And it's very cool. You've got the best of both worlds because you're out there with the freedom of busking, just the enjoyment of sitting down on the street with your guitar and playing, but you've got support. So
That's
that the shop owners are cool with it because it's all, you've already been, you've passed the audition, I should say.
That's right. We all have little name tags. I mean, it's a sweet gig, to be honest with you, because it's a gig that you don't have to bring anything to except for yourself and your guitar. And that's it.
As a school bus driver, do you get your summers off?
You do. Mm-hmm.
Have you thought about like traveling around the country and like, dipping your toes into like other scenes like New York and New Orleans and Chicago and Madison, Memphis, places like that?
I'm looking for stuff to do now for next summer.
Cool.
I sure am. I'd love to do some, and I would love to do some short weekend tours as well. So I've been trying to find different things that I can kind of get one central, job, and then sort of find out where exactly that is in the country and see if I can do something around it, even if it's just find out what the city ordinance are and busk.
What do you see for yourself musically after the pandemic? Because, you said things are kind of opening up where you're at.
Yeah, they're opening up a little bit. I want to keep going with this. I would love it if, I mean, this is a dream, but I would love it if I could do just music for a living, like I intended when I graduated high school. I just never did it. I never had the courage until I had that second marriage that hit the rocks. And then I said, you got to do what you want to do with your life because none of this other stuff has worked out. I would love to just be doing this.
Hey, you want to set up the song that you share that you're about to share with us?
Yeah, it's a song that I actually recorded at the first festival I ever played. It was called Montavani Farm Fest. They hold it every year up in Center Valley, PA. It's a nice, out in the country. There were a pretty good amount of people there. It was really nice. The weekend that we did it was Labor Day weekend. It was just beautiful, And the song is called Stormy Monday. And it's an old blues tune,
Standard,
and, yeah. Like I think the first person I heard do it was T-Bone Walker, but I just took it and played it in a country blues style there. And it was great. In fact, the guy who ran this, a side note, the guy who ran that festival, Montavani Farm Fest, his name's Adam Montavani. He just came down and spent the weekend recording me in a hotel room down here, trying to get some good recordings that I can share with people. But anyway, at any rate, that song, Stormy Monday, was recorded at Montavani Farm Fest over Labor Day weekend.
Very cool. Well, let's go take a listen.
All right. I know everybody's heard this song, Stormy Monday. This one, the first time I heard Stormy Monday was T-Bone Walker. For some reason, I fell in love with the Allman Brothers version. I don't know, but I'm going to try it. They call it Stormy Monday, but Tuesday's just as bad. They call it Stormy Monday, but Tuesday's just as bad. Well, Wednesday's worse, and Thursday's so sad. Eagle flies on Friday, Saturday I go out to play. Eagle flies on Friday, Saturday I go out to play. Saturday I go to church, Sunday. Get down on my knees and pray. Mercy. Lord have mercy on me. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy on me. I'm trying to find my baby. Won't somebody please tell me where she be? Thank y'all very much.
Hey, thanks for watching Charlie's Open Mic this week, and thank you to Joe Bourgeois for sitting down and talking to me and sharing a little music with us. As always, please hit that subscription link down below. Please ring the bell for notifications of upcoming episodes. And you can find us at Charlie's Open Mic, where you can find a Patreon link to help support the show. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.